Hi everyone, my name is Erica. I am the owner and creator at Paprika's Crafts, and this is my YouTube channel. I am just starting this up, so I'm very excited for the possibilities here. This YouTube channel is all about learning new crafts, about working through some with you and learning with you. So I'm going to be doing how-tos of some basic crafts that I know, and then I'm going to be doing some process videos of my own works in terms of like stuffed animals or quilling projects. And then I'm also going to be doing videos of me learning something new and hopefully sharing what I've learned with you. And you know, it's going to be whatever I find that I think will be really interesting to watch, like those DIY videos that you see all the time that look extremely impressive, but can a regular person do it? So let's find out. That's the idea of these videos. So I'm very excited to have you. Today we are going to be doing something for Valentine's Day. So in just a second I'll let you know exactly what materials you need, but for now I do want to show you what it is that we're going to be making. And this you can make for any holiday, you can make it for any special occasion, but this is a little card, the pop-up box, so it can actually fit into an envelope and it just pops out. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so we're going to get started on our project, alright? So I've gathered some of my materials, which I just went over what you'll need. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I need, of course, is my cardstock. This is going to be what's going to create the box. This is a 12 by 12 at the moment. And then I have my scoring tool. There are better tools, but if you don't want to go out and spend the money on a scoring tool because you don't know if you're going to use it in the future or whatever, you can use a butter knife. Is it the best? No. Is it gonna work? Totally. You can use a butter knife. And of course my ruler. Now you'll see a lot of videos where they have like a scoring board. I don't have that. Yes, again, it would make things easier, but if you're just doing this as a daily craft and just for fun, just for a special occasion, then use what you got, you know? Don't go out and spend a whole bunch of money unless you know that you want to pursue this and you enjoy it. I can say that as a crafter, I have done that a lot. I've gone out, spent money on crafts that I didn't end up liking, and then I had a bunch of stuff and a bunch of money was wasted on it. So don't spend it until you know that you want to do this, okay? So our first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut our cardstock to 8.5 by 12. So it's already 12 by 12, but we want it to be 8.5, okay? So what I'm going to do is this board here has some measurements on it, so I'm going to actually use that to help me out. So I know then, if I line it all up correctly, that 8.5 is right here. So I'm going to line up my ruler with the 1/2 inch mark. Now I'm going to draw this on here. Because I prefer that. I have in the past actually like used, you know, an X-Acto knife just to go through it, but just for your sake, I am going to draw it on there really quick, and then in order to make sure I get it completely straight, I'm going to do it with scissors. For whatever reason, when I use an X-Acto knife, sometimes it just goes wonky. I don't really know why. Even if I use, you know, it with a ruler, I have that metal ruler specifically for that, it still goes wonky. So I'm just going to do it with scissors. Also, if you don't have an X-Acto knife, you can do it with scissors. If you do have an X-Acto knife and you can, you know, tell me how to make it a little bit more perfect lines, please do. Because I still have just not, maybe it's just practice. Maybe I just need practice. Alright, so 8.5. Alright, that looks good to me. Alright, so we have it 8.5. Now we are going to turn it to its long ways, so portrait, okay? And what we're going to do is we are going to score it, okay? So I'm going to move it over here to the side so that I can kind of, you know, go by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all that good stuff. Alright, so over here. Make sure it's lined up. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take my ruler and I'm going to score it at 2 3/4 of an inch first. So 1, 2, There's a quarter, there's a half, there's a 3/4. So I'm gonna go there, match it up, line it up on both ends. And I'm gonna take my butter knife or scoring tool, whatever you have, and I'm going to use the non-blade side and press firmly. Do it again, because you're not using a real scoring tool. Or if you are doing a real scoring tool, you may not need to do this, but do it a few times just to get like a good score in there, okay? So you should be able, let's see, which way is you see the line that's created? That's what you want, all right? So that was at 2 3/4. The next line is going to come in at 5 1/2, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/2. Right there. And then that'll be right there. Okay, and we're just going to do the exact same thing that we just did. I did it about 3 times, so I'm just going to do 3 more. Okay. All right, so 2 3/4, 5 1/2. Now we're going to go to 8 1/4. And the reason this is so oddly, why they're quarters rather than just whole numbers is because we're going to leave a tab on one end that's going to make our life a little easier in the end, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1/4. I do recommend one of these cutting boards if you are into crafts at all, because like this has saved my tables numerous times, and it will definitely just save your life throughout. It's become such a big important part of my crafting table. I lost count. I have no idea how many times I did that. Let me see. It looks good though, so we're gonna go with that. And then the last one is an even number at 11. So I'm just gonna take 1 away from the end because I know it's 12, and we're gonna go right over here and score it. One, 2. That was a little light on that third one, so I'm gonna do it one more time. There we go. Okay, so now we have these scored lines. All right, a scored line really is just gonna help us to bend it. As you can see, we kind of have these bumps now on this other line. If you don't do the scoring, what's going to happen is when you try to bend it, first off, it's going to be kind of wonky, right? It doesn't really necessarily want to go the way that you want it to go, but also it's going to create all these cracks. And look at how, like, no matter how much I fold this, it's not necessarily a really pretty angle either way. But with the scoring, it's going to help us to do that, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut off a 2 by 12 inch strip. So this is basically, this is 12 inches here. And so we want to cut off a 2 by 12. So we're going to take 2 inches off of here. All right. So I'm going to line this up. I'm going to mark it again with a pencil to cut this off. Again, just to make sure that I'm keeping it where I want it to be, all that good stuff. So I'm going to line this up. Let me make sure it's lined up. I'm going to go from the top so I can actually check a little bit better. This used to have a piece of cork on the bottom that was really helpful in making sure that it didn't move. You can get a ruler that does that. I highly recommend it. Okay, if you want to just check that you're, just make sure 2 inches, 2 inches, it looks good. So we're going to cut off 2 inches. If you're not very good with scissors, just keep practicing. I don't know what age group is going to watch these, but I've met people from all age groups that just are terrible at cutting. It really is all about just focusing on, practicing. Really, it really is. It's just practice. Sometimes you're not going to get it exactly right, and that's okay. That's the beauty of handmade, right? We do it because it's handmade. It's special. We don't do it because it's perfect. If we were perfect, it's not handmade. All right, so I've got my 2" by 12. I'm going to set that aside. So I have my 6" by 12, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it this way. No, this one always gets me. It's this way, and you're gonna mark it at 2.75. Yeah. Yeah, this way. The reason you want to go this way is because you're making your line that is going to separate the top from the bottom of the boxes, okay? So this way. What I'm going to be doing on my channel, for those of you that are watching and laughing at me as I try to figure this out, is the idea is for it to be, you know, if I mess up, I mess up. And you get to experience that along with me. So at this point, I have a 6.5, 6.5 by my 12. And what I'm going to do is measure 2.75. So I'm actually going to line it up here. And then measure 1, 2. And then the quarter, half, 3/4. Anyway, yeah, like what I was saying, my whole goal is to really show you, demystify the crafting process, and to show you that, you know, even crafters, we sometimes get confused by our own works. We mess up. And that's okay. You know, it's not perfect. It's not always just, you know exactly what you're doing all the time and you never mess up. We all do that. And as a teacher, I encourage people to, you know, just because you mess up doesn't mean that you need to quit. You need to keep going. You need to keep trying and get better. All right, so like I said, it was 2 3/4. So I scored it right there, 2 3/4. All right, so essentially what we're doing is we now have this shape that is going to become the box, okay? So these are the sides of the boxes, and this is actually like the opening, or the flaps that you would fold in to the box, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut down the 2.75 to the scoring line, okay? Again, if you want to use your X-Acto knife, go for it. X-Acto knives are great for these exact moments. I think I just have a little bit of fear with X-Acto knives, honestly, because, you know, the very first time I ever had an X-Acto knife and I opened it, I immediately stabbed myself. Before I even got it out of the actual packaging, you know those plastic packages that are so hard to open? Yep, that was me. And I just totally stabbed myself. It was in college. It was just the worst experience ever. So, you know, sometimes I just like to go back to scissors. All right, so this last one here, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut down at an angle, okay? And what I've done is I've created a tab. All right, this tab is what's going to attach everything together. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our 2x12, and we are at 4 3/4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 3/4. No, that's not the right side. It's over here. Sorry. It's from the 1" side. So come from the 1" side. That was at the 11 mark. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So we're going to measure over 4 3/4. So right here. Just gonna mark it really quick. And I don't know why I scored that. I could have just drawn it on there, but I scored it instead. And I'm just gonna cut that. the thing about the creative process and when you're in this is that sometimes you just do things and it works out. Other times you really have to make sure you're focusing. So now I have this. I'm going to cut it in half. What is that, like hot dog style? I think that's what they call it in schools. So that I have two pieces that are 1 inches by the 4.75. Okay. So this time I will just be normal and draw the line and then cut it. All right, so now I have what's going to be my tabs on the inside, okay? These are what we're going to put all the embellishments on in order to continue, or in order to decorate the box, okay? So, I am going to fold it at the ends, okay? So you want to, here's our scored line. So this is the indentation. On the other side is the kind of puffy out part. We want to fold with the indentation on the outside. Okay, look at how nice that angle is. We're gonna do this one as well. The more scored it is, the easier it is to actually bend these. So if you find that you're struggling, just go back with your scoring tool and make the score a little bit deeper, okay? All right, so same thing here. And then here. Okay, ooh, so we have 2 of these. Now, okay, everyone, so we are actually done with this part of the box for now. We're going to come back to this, but let's leave this be, just set it aside. Now what we're going to do is create our decorative pieces that are going to decorate the outside of the box and the inside. So you're going to use your contrasting color. So I have this lovely color that I'm going to use, and we're going to create a few pieces to actually decorate the inside and outside. We need 2 pieces that are 2.5 inches by 6.25, so 2.5 by 6 1/4. And then we need 3 that are 2.5 by 3 1/4, and 6 2.5 by 2.5 squares, right? So don't worry, I'll go over that again. But pick out your contrasting color. You may need 2 sheets of paper for this, but you're going to turn it to the other side if it has a right side or a wrong side. If it doesn't, if it's just one solid sheet of paper, fine. It doesn't really matter which side you go to. I've already drawn them on here a little bit. What you can see is I made a note of which way the hearts go. So the hearts are going up and down this way. And so this note helps me to remember which ways I want my boxes to go, okay? So the pieces are decorating, like going this way. So I want my hearts to go this way, right? So that's, I want to make sure that the long ways will go up. Okay, so here are my 6 1/4 by my 2.5 pieces. All right, here I have my 2.5 by 3 1/4. I do have to draw another one of those. But rather than having you sit here and watch me draw all of this, just make sure that you draw it out and piece it out together. One thing I suggest is that when you get to the square, rather than trying to sit here and measure out a perfect square every time, take a scrap piece of paper and create it that way. So I'm going to use this corner down here because now I know I have at least one 90-degree angle, right? And then I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to measure 2.5. So 1, 2.5. Let's see. Right there. That looks good. I'm going to mark it. And then I'm going to down here, same thing, 2.5. Up at the top as well. I cannot stress how much this particular cutting board has just been so much help. Like I said, I highly recommend it. If you don't have one of these and you can't go out and get one, just make sure that you have, I would, get a couple of rulers that can help to create those 90-degree angles. Or you know, or in addition to that, also use like a placemat. That again will protect your table from whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, so now I have my square. I'm just gonna cut it out. And I'm gonna use that square to create the 6 little 2.5 by 2.5 squares that we need for this project. Okay. So all you have to do then, just place it on here, try to match it up, and trace it. There you go. Okay. One thing to be careful about when you're doing this, depending on the paper that you bought, you want to watch out for this little part down here. If you want to just go ahead and cut that off, you totally can. That way you don't even have to worry about it. But you know, if you're using the backside, just be careful. Just be aware of where it is. All right. So go ahead and map out all your pieces and then cut them out, and then we will move on to the next part. Okay, so I cut out and, you know, made sure that these were the right sizes. So I have 2 of my 2.5 by 6 1/4, and then I have 3 2.5 by 3.5, and I have my 6 squares that are 2.5. They're all kind of wonky here. All right, that's what you want. Okay, so now what we're going to do is actually attach these to the box. All right. So here's our box again. This piece right here with the tab on it, this is our long piece, okay? So this is the piece where the longer decorative pieces are gonna go, all right? We're not going to fold the top down. We're gonna leave that as is, okay? So when we are working on this, what we're going to do is look at our score lines. Here is, you can see it's kind of shiny. This is where the actual, where I press down with a butter knife to create those lines. So this means this is the outside. So we're gonna fold in the other way, okay? So let's start with the inside, okay? So when I'm starting with the inside, I've got my tab over here. So again, this is the long piece. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach this here, and then I'm going to put these little squares, 3 of them, up here. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to think about how this is going to look when it's done. So I'm going to kind of fold this for just a minute, for just a second, so you can actually kind of see what it will look like. So I'm going to fold along the scoring lines. It really does make such a big difference to have those scoring lines in terms of folding so that you don't end up with some rough edges. Okay. So what's going to happen, again, this is the long one. These other ones, we're going to fold these down. Okay, towards the outside of the box. Okay, so just kind of like the box is open. Oh, I didn't go quite far enough there with the cut, so I need to just snip it. There we go. Okay, so if this is how it's going to look, then I want to think about how I want these to look. If I were to just put them in here like this, then I would get upside down hearts. That's not what I want. So when I'm looking at it from the inside, I want to think about what it's going to look like when it flips out. So I actually want to put these upside down, because when we fold it, then we will have right side up hearts. Okay? All right, so you can use whatever kind of glue you want, or any kind of adhesive. Elmer's is just fine. I wouldn't recommend using hot glue, just because hot glue generally has kind of bumps to it, and it can kind of, you know, leave a raised edge, and it can cause issues with this. You want this to be as flat as possible. You can also use adhesive squares. I just like the glue. I think the glue works really well, so that's what I'm going to go with. All right, so what I like to do is, I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to put my 4 dots. Okay, And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a tool to spread out the glue. Now you can just use your fingers if you don't have a tool, that's fine. But I'm going to use this tool that is actually used for a lot of things really. But I'm just going to kind of spread out the glue a little bit. And my reason for this is just to make sure that it, you know, is on there nice and even. But also this is going to keep the paper from kind of puckering. If you just throw glue on there, what it likes to do is it'll kind of bunch up, it'll have little raised areas, so on and so forth. That's not such a bad thing with, or it doesn't happen as often with cardstock, but you know, just to make sure. But also to make sure that all my edges are covered in that glue so that they stay on there. And then I'm going to line it up as best as I can. And then once I have it where I like it, press down, and ta-da! Okay, so you're going to continue on and you're going to glue the rest of these on here, okay, with whatever paper you are using. Okay, so I finished with the inside, so now I'm going to do the outside. So I'm going to flip it over. And the long piece is going to go here, same as it is on the other side, okay? And then these 2.5 by 3.5, those are going to go down here on the bottom ends of the boxes. And then, of course, the squares are going to go up here. Okay, and again, I'm just going to glue them on just as I did before. Actually, I think I'm just going to put these on like normal. All right, and that's, so once you have this glued, then we will move on to the next step. So just take some time, glue these in the same process that you did earlier, and then once it's ready and dry, we will move on. Okay, so I have all of my pieces on there. They should be dry by now. So I'm going to fold this, okay? So remember, here's the inside, and this is the outside. So I'm going to just fold it, okay? Fold it along your scored lines. If you find that you're having trouble folding it, then you can always try to score it again, okay? And then this last one to be folded. All right, so this is our tab. What this is going to do is attach them all together, okay? Look at that. All right, so I love this. It reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. I love it. All right, so I'm gonna put some glue. I'm gonna put more glue here than I have. Of course, because this is actually what's holding it all together. So you do want quite a bit, and I'm going to kind of spread that around. All right, and then we're going to simply put it together. I'm going to fold this down so that I can get in there. There we go. Okay, so make sure, line it up as best as you can. I would just hold it for a little while. If you have some clamps, you can use those. Or whatever this thing is again. Clothespin, that's what it's called. Alright, so that's just going to sit there and dry for a little bit. I wanted to show you some of my embellishments that I created. This is my main piece. This is completely handmade. I cut out the hearts myself. I made this little frilly stuff out of crepe paper, which is a really thin paper. I'm trying to find it. It's, you may see it like on like floats, but this kind, or classrooms. They use it a lot in classrooms. You can buy sheets of it. So this is crepe paper. It has this really cool stretch about it. Of course, once you stretch it out, it doesn't go back. But what I did is I just kind of folded it into like a ruffle shape. And instead of gluing it, I just taped it all. so that it would just stay until I had it where I wanted it, and then I glued the second heart on top. And then of course there's like a little vellum thing in here with the printed out thing. I did not write that. I just had that printed on vellum. But I did create a bunch of different little hearts. And the idea behind these is to, you know, layer them, create them however I want to. It's just to decorate. If you're worried about creating hearts, I know that hearts are hard to draw. I do. I am terrible at them. I even have some that are cut out with die cast so that I didn't have to sit there and draw that many different shapes. And a die cast is like this kind of metal thing that you can use in a... there are different types of machines that you can use that will actually just cut it for you. So you get like this really even cut. But if you want to make one on your own, what you can do is take a piece of paper, fold it in half. This is the easiest way that I have found to draw a heart because I'm terrible at just trying to draw a heart. And then you just draw half of it. Now, if you want it to be asymmetrical so that it's not the same on both sides, have at it. Then this will not work. But this way, this way works if you want a symmetrical heart. So I would draw it out, and then I obviously you cut it out, and then you have a template that you can use to create more hearts. Okay, and you know, however fat you make the top, that's going to change it. So like these that I cut out and created, they're a completely different shape than this one, and that was the idea. It was that they would be different shapes. They'd be some fun shapes. So I have contrasting colors. I have some with words on them, some bows, and all of that. And again, it's just to, you know, just to decorate. You know, whatever you have. I have these little brads that I've had for years. Thought I might put them on there. The other thing you need, or don't necessarily need it, acetate, I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's like a form of like plastic, but I don't have that, and it's expensive. So I grabbed a bit of plastic that I had from a box that I was no longer using, that something Christmassy came in, and I'm just gonna cut this and use this. You can also use like laminating paper, or not laminating, I'm sorry, overhead projection paper if you still have that. I actually have a whole box of that back at home, and it it's very useful for that kind of stuff. Okay, so our box is dry, so I'm going to finish folding over. So now we have our basic shape coming out. Okay, we have this really cute little box here, and what we're going to do is we're going to place these tabs in here. It just fits, look at that. All right, we're going to glue them in. That was just me showing you how we're going to do it. But this is where our embellishments are actually going to rest. Okay. All right, so I put glue on both ends of the tab. Sorry for the shaking camera. I'm going to spread it out. I made one of these for my husband for our first anniversary because it's the paper anniversary. So if you have one of those coming up or that kind of date, this is super cute. And we still have it. It was my first attempt at it, so it wasn't like perfect, but you know, again, that's not the point, right? So you want to put them in there so that it's, you know, down enough that it's not super obvious. Okay. I'm gonna get the other one. And what I'm doing is the tabs are going towards the back, so this one the tabs are going to go towards the front. And I'm just spreading out that glue there. Oh no, glue. It's okay, it does dry clear, so that's okay. gonna go ahead and say this box is extremely sturdy. Like it feels good. Okay, so after you have done that, now it's up to you to figure out how exactly you're going to put this all together, you know, where you want the pieces to be, where you want them to sit. What I'm going to do is just fold this just a few times because remember, our point is that, oh no, it pops up. So I didn't let the glue dry quite enough. Should pop that back in there. So let the glue dry. Give it a little bit more time than I did. Anyway, so figure out how exactly you want this to look. How do you want these pieces in here? How do you want them popping out? I wouldn't do that. Those are too much alike. But you can do all kinds of stuff. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to spend some time on now, is putting these actual pieces together so that I can then put them in there. Okay? And I should say, for your embellishments, you can use whatever you want. I chose to make my own. But you could get stickers, you can get little embellishments from scrapbooking aisles, ribbons, whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. It's just as long as it looks the way you want it to look and it makes you happy, then that's good. Okay? And if you want to make them, make them. Okay, so I've taken my my embellishments and I have kind of made what I want it to look like. So what I did is I just combined my hearts. I used some of the brads. And I kind of planned out what this is actually going to look like. For this little piece right here, it's still drying. I actually used this thing to create that. Okay. When you are designing, of course, obviously look at color, but there's also like when you have this kind of thing, you want to make sure that it's balanced as much as possible. And so when you're looking at balance, you want to look at color and you want to look at size. And so like this heart here is bigger, but we've got some darker colors over here to kind of balance it out. That kind of stuff. Like this one's lighter, or a lighter color, but we have more attached to it. You know, just that kind of idea. So what I'm going to do is take this piece by piece and I'm going to attach it in here, okay? And I'm just going to kind of see what's the easiest way to go about this. So it looks like to me this will work as that. So let's try it. Why not, right? Just remember, whatever it is that you work on or make, you know, you're doing it for you or, you know, maybe for somebody, but do what makes you happy. Do what styles make you happy. Don't feel like you have to go with what's, you know, others tell you to do. That kind of thing. Doesn't really matter. Go with your style. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit, but essentially I'm going to be kind of putting these in there. Now the pieces that are going in the back, they're going to actually be lifted off of the tabs, and that's where this plastic comes in. So what I'm going to do is cut the plastic into strips, and then I will attach, you know, whatever to the plastic and then glue that in there, okay? If you're having a hard time with the glue, if for whatever reason your glue is not strong enough, then you could, you know, try the hot glue, see if that works. You know, play around with it, see what works. Okay, so, you know, pause it here. I'm going to... Okay, so, we have this part glued, and then what I did is I just cut little strips of the plastic that I had. Right here. Remember, it was just, again, part of a box. And I used Elmer's glue, and it worked really well. It's a little floppy, but I don't need it to be that tall, so it's going to be it's going to be cute. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach this to the back side of this first tab. So these are on the front side of it. I'm going to attach this to the back side of it to give it a little bit of depth. So again, I'm just going to use Elmer's glue to do that, and I'm just gonna put a little bit down here. I don't really know exactly where I want it to go, but that's fine. So then I am going to set it in there. Whoop. Make it as straight as I want. I'm gonna check from the front. It needs to be a little bit higher. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is use this clothespin and just pin it in place. Okay? And let that dry. And that's essentially the process, okay? And then you just keep going with the rest of these. So like this one is the one that goes in the back, so I'm gonna do the same thing. We'll put 2 pieces of the plastic on there just to kind of give it like a, you know, some extra structure. But yeah, that's it. Okay, so I will show you my finished product here in just a little bit. But you know, it's a lot of fun. It's super cute and it's completely, you know, unique, one of a kind, totally yours, all that good stuff. And you can continue to decorate it as much as you want, so on and so forth. So let me finish it and I will show you the finished product. Is the final product. So you can see it from far away there. I just added a few more embellishments to it, some rhinestones that I had. I just have fun with it. I love the asymmetrical elements, so that's what I did. But of course, if you want it to look more symmetrical, just make sure that you do the same thing on each side. And if done correctly, you can fold it from one side so it's flat, or the other side. All right. And that's it. There's your cute little Valentine's Day pop-up card. And of course you can do this for any holiday, any moment, any occasion. They're super cute. If you don't want to make all of the embellishments, you can actually go find them. You know, lots of craft stores will have things in the scrapbooking section. Or you can just kind of collect things as you go. Throughout, you know, if you find some cute buttons that you love, hold on to them. You never know when you're going to be able to use them. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little bit. And I hope you have an amazing Valentine's Day. If you want to know more or learn a different craft, please be sure to let me know in the comments and I will do another how-to video about the craft that you want me to do. And if I don't know how to do it, that's okay, because I'm also doing videos of me learning new crafts. So I will learn with you as we go through our crafts. So next week's video will actually be a time lapse of me making a stuffed animal. So you'll be able to watch that process. Please be sure to subscribe and like so that you can tune into that. All right. Thank you. Have a great weekend.